Welcome back, everyone. Toy Shiz here, and today we are going to be checking out a relatively new-ish, we'll say probably about a year off by this time, but this is the Simpsons Ultimates line, the Bartman action figure, and this is from Super 7. Everybody knows Bartman, right? Bart's superhero alter ego, but not really, unless you're playing a video game or something like that. But Super 7 has made a Bartman, and this particular Bartman, because he's in an orange shirt, and as the packaging says, comes from the second season of The Simpsons, episode 21, 3 Men and a Comic Book. And truth be told, to this day, it is still one of my favorite episodes from The Simpsons. I remember watching it all the time when it was in syndication, and it seemed to be on a lot, so that's why I think it sticks out to me, and it was just a really cool premise. Also, keep in mind the color of this cape right here. A lot more on that in just a few. Now, for those of you interested, if you would actually like to grab a Bartman for yourself, mine came from Entertainment Earth recently, and it is a ticking clock, but Entertainment Earth has been having a 15% off all in-stock items. It was a Memorial Day sale that they've actually kept going. So they do have Bartman, and as of this video, it looks like there's just one left in stock, so you get 15% off, although instead of being 55, now they're roughly 60 bucks, of which we will definitely be discussing that later in the video as well. My recommendation, to be honest, and you can come up with your own thoughts, of course, is that Jakks Pacific is definitely having a lot more fun and for a lot cheaper price for their Simpsons action figures, of which Entertainment Earth does have as well. So you can get the 2.5-inch figures, you can get the 5-inch figures. I highly recommend both. So do be sure to check out Entertainment Earth for all your action figure needs, maybe for all your Simpsons needs. Guarantee if you head over and check them out, you'll find something there that you like. And also, if you use the code EARTH10, you get 10% off your order, just in case you look at this video and the sale has already expired. But in the meantime, this is going to be an absolute blast. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is a look at the brand new-ish from the Super 7, The Simpsons Ultimates line, Bartman. Now, before we get started, I have to show off an amazing nostalgic piece for me, namely in the form of the book, Bart Simpson's Guide to Life. And I have to say a sincere thank you to Anime Figure Statue Collector, who heard me mentioning the book in a recent Simpsons video that I made and was so nice, sent me a copy of the book. So thank you so much. It is every bit as awesome as I remember. I cannot tell you how many times I sat in Borders books and read this when I was a little kid, and then seemingly my copy was lost to time when I finally got a hold of it. But it is so great to finally have it back. I remember this right here. This book belongs to Toy Shiz now. But again, thank you so much. Be sure to check them out on Instagram and definitely grab a copy of the book for yourself if you are interested. But we definitely have an action figure to check out. So here is everything inside the box for this Super 7 offering. And to be honest with you, as it was 55, the tariffs and, raising prices and all that kind of stuff. Now we're looking at 60 bucks, but because I got it from the Entertainment Earth sale, it was 15% off. Still, that is a pretty penny. You do get a lot in the box, but how exactly does it hold up? And something that I always look at with these characters that I know the episodes like the back of my hand, do the accessories of the figure really match up? Now, you do get a ton of extra hands, probably a lot more hands than you really need, but one hand in particular is holding money. Now, this is very key because, again, this is based off the episode 3 Men in a Comic Book. Bart Simpson, while as Bartman, hands money to the Comic-Con guy after the Comic-Con guy says, Bartman, I'd never heard of him, full price. Also, this could be in the episode where Bart, Milhouse, and Martin pool their money to then get the Radioactive Man comic book. So that totally works. This next accessory, of which this is really the only image that I could find online, but truth be told, this is not a version of Bartman that would even cross my mind. This is something I had to look up because you either have Bartman in the blue shirt or you have Bartman in the orange shirt, which pertains to the cartoon. Of course, I'm talking about this belt. Now, the belt is fine. It's just that it's a very odd accessory for me when thinking about Bartman, and I thought that it would unbuckle, let's say like an old Playmates TMNT figure. It doesn't seem to be the case. It is glued in, at least on mine, so no, that won't be coming apart. You can simply slip it on and off his waist. It's not really a problem. For me, I actually thought it was the belt that Bart gets when the bullies try to take it from him, and they say, he's going left, and then he turns right, that kind of thing, and he fires off the missile. I thought that was this belt, but lo and behold, no, it is a Bartman belt from recent iterations of Bartman. Now, a classic accessory for any Bart Simpson is his slingshot, which is nicely done. It's already pulled back, so it's already pre-posed in that sense. But I will say this, for the price you're getting, why isn't this just a slingshot with some sort of material, stretchy material around so you could pose it? Perhaps even a hand that would allow you to grip that and pull it, and you could have it be a full-blown working slingshot in the sense. Although there is nothing to put in the slingshot, so I feel like that's missing as well. Why is Bart pulling this back? There's no rock, there's nothing to insert, so it is kind of an odd accessory when you really look at it. He does hold it well, but as I said, there's really not anything to fit in there because it's already sculpted out and ready to go. Why isn't there a rock already sculpted in to the actual accessory? Now, thankfully, straight from the episode, we get Radioactive Man #1. If you know the episode, Bart, Milhouse, and Martin pool their money together at the comic book shop, the Androids Dungeon and Baseball Card Shop, to buy their own copy of Radioactive Man #1. It looks great. It's nicely printed. If I'm being honest, it's a little bit thick for a comic book, and how cool it would have been to then put this comic book in its own Mylar bag. That would have been something special and just something different and really keeping within the vein of the episode. I kind of wish they had done that because otherwise, yeah, you just get the comic book. And like I said, it's a little bit on the thick end, although if you want to have Bart paying for it as Bartman, yeah, that kind of works, but then again, it kind of doesn't at all, if I'm being honest. Then you have this accessory, which makes me laugh because I know exactly what this is. This is the nest, the birds, and then the remnants of the comic book after not only Lightning gets to it, but Santa's little helper. So yeah, that's a nice wink and a nod. That's totally cool. But this is one of those accessories without any context. You'd go, what am I looking at? And as you'll soon see, this I would have totally sacrificed for a lot more continuity-wise accessories, looks, and everything else because it's just kind of random, especially since you can't really do much with it. I get it. It totally made me laugh, but at the same time, it totally left me perplexed. So this particular accessory is really well done, this being Bart Simpson's skateboard. There's a peg, it's got wheels, the trucks, the blues, the purples, everything is great, including the shape of the skateboard. Now that's pretty darn solid overall. And yes, with the peg on the skateboard and then the peg holes on the bottom of Bart Simpson's shoes, you can get him skateboarding all throughout Springfield. So well done. That's pretty darn cool. The one thing I will tell you is that it's not going to exactly work on every single surface, mine being glass, but the wheels do turn on the right surface. You can get him gliding, you can get him moving. So it is fun in that sense. And it's nice with the bendy wire cape. You get it billowing behind him. Another great accessory, well, we'll say kind of sort of great accessory, is Santa's little helper with the comic book in his mouth. So that is directly from the episode when he's tearing it up, ripping it up. And what's really cool is that on the backside, yes, they have gone as far as to print the cover of the Radioactive Man comic. So very appreciative of that. The rest of the doodles inside is going to be nonsensical, but you get it. It's a comic book and he's ripping it to shreds. So one thing in particular, though, is that now you have Santa's little helper, but the comic book is permanently in his mouth. You do get some articulation in the front legs, but nothing in the back, nothing at the tail, but the head will spin. And another question I have is that, do you think Santa's little helper is too tall for this Bart Simpson figure? Overall, I have a lot of questions regarding it. The colors are nice. Everything works good in terms of recreating Santa's little helper, including the head articulation. The comic book is fine. But as I said, I would have rather had an alternate head for Santa's little helper instead of the nest, because now you just have Santa's little helper with the comic book in his mouth permanently. Why not have the comic book removable? Something like that. It's just not enough, and it's very odd. Do I want another Santa's little helper? And as I said, is he a little bit too tall for Bart? They seem to be out of scale. You can let me know down in the comments below. Now, of course, you do get 3 head portraits across the figure, one of them being scaredy face, the other one being more of a solemn face. Has great purple, whites of the eyes, the yellow flesh. Everything looks good, spiky hair. That is definitely Bartman through and through. The one solemn head, though, with the yellow for the eyelids, the yellow they've chosen does not match the flesh of the skin, like, at all. It's much too dark. So that, to me, is kind of numero uno in terms of hiccups. The big one for me, though, is that across the board, all 3 head portraits, when looking at the context of the episode, 3 Men in a Comic Book, these expressions do not exist whatsoever. In fact, as you'll soon see with the Jakks specific offering, it's missing the key head portrait expression, and it to me is so wild because across the board, none of these make any sense in the context of Bartman. So while they're well sculpted, well designed, all the teeth, the eyes, everything looks fine, at the end of the day, Super 7, my question to you would be, what are we paying attention to in terms of the episode? The actual Bartman action figure, finally, yeah, we're there, looks great. And I'm going to say looks great from afar. It's a solid figure. He doesn't seem as mechanical as the Jakks specific offerings, but let's be honest, it's a $60 figure compared to a $13 figure. You do get plenty of articulation in the head. He stands well. And the expression that he has on at the moment is the one that I'm going for. That's how I would display him. He does have the orange shirts, he's got the blue shorts, and the blue shoes. So yeah, I would say that's Bartman, right? Well, it's when you really start looking up close that you go, things aren't exactly as they should be, especially for the price point. So as we all know, in the episode, Bart has the orange shirt. That doesn't change. That is correct. But why not have maybe a swap out shirt, something like that? You have a cape with a bendy wire, and that's all fun, but the cape is blue. Now, Bartman's mask is purple. You'll see the Jakks one. I think the Jakks one's kind of nailed the color better, but why in the world is the cape blue? That is a huge misstep. That's like a big misstep, especially at the price point. And it makes no sense because in all of continuity and everything I know about Bartman, it's always purple mask, purple cape. You can swap out the orange and the blues. The articulation is fine. I don't mind it. It fits within the context of The Simpsons. It doesn't become too mechanical, like I said. Arms, elbows, you get a little bit in the waist, you got the legs, the knees. It's enough articulation for me for what I need for a Bart Simpson figure. But again, as you travel down to the shoes, while he does have peg holes on the bottom, a big misstep is that Bart Simpson has white dots on his shoes, on the inside. They have sculpted these dots, but they did not paint them. These should be white, so they totally missed that. $60 price point, blue cape, no dots on the shoes. It's a big why? Why wasn't this caught? Why wasn't this implemented? And that's when you have to think, why am I going to spend any type of money on this if they can't get the fine details correct? So no, I really cannot recommend getting this Bartman. It's a shame because it has a lot going for it, but then at the end of the day, it's very disappointing. And that's the thing about the whole Simpsons line from Super 7. I think that they actually had something very cool. They were going with itchy and scratchy robots and astronaut Homer and everything else. But then at the price point for what I want for the Simpsons, a cheaper, more simplistic price point and offering is really where I'm at. So let me show you here. In the context of a $60 Super 7 Ultimates action figure, you get everything here. You get a lot of accessories to have fun with Bartman on your shelf. For $13, you get a figure and a skateboard for Jakks specific. The big wow here is that for $13, Jakks specific nailed it on every single avenue that you would want for Bartman. We're going to leave out the colors of the shirts because one of them is going for episode specific and the other one is going for comics and video games and everything else. We're focused primarily on the mask, which I think Jakks definitely nailed it. You have the color of the cape. Jakks definitely nailed it. It has to line up. Everyone at this point, there's so much good stuff, but it's whoever gets the most specific details at the price points, that's where everyone's going to gravitate to. Even the shoes, the dots on the shoes for $13, Jakks got it. No problemos. There it is. So again, not to beat a dead horse, the $13 price point action figure overtakes everything Super 7 has done, and it's really unfortunate. The one place where I think Super 7 nailed it is the skateboard. I like the chunkier style skateboard. Yes, you get everything here, but it is so off. It's so wrong in the terms of what I know and how well I know this episode of The Simpsons that I have to say, absolutely not. No, go with the Jakks specific one. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And this is not to tear down Super 7 by any means, because I enjoy their TMNT Ultimates and I enjoy their Power Ranger figures. But when it came to The Simpsons, while I do have Wave 1 and I really wanted to check out this Bartman figure, I'm with Jakks specific on this going forward. And I think between the scales that they have, the price points that they're at, they're just in a better place for me for what I would like to collect for The Simpsons at this point. And if you don't already have the old Playmates World of Springfield figures, yeah, Jakks is a no-brainer. But these are my thoughts, and as always, I am curious to know yours, so comment below, let me know. Let's talk everything The Simpsons across all avenues, Playmates, Mattel, Super 7, Jakks specific. Let me know your faves, and until the next one, I will leave you guys with that. Adios.